It's what legends do. And look at arrogant New England. New England, remember that article a couple years ago? One of the assistants said, we could win with a lot of quarterbacks here. Well, you got Cam, and it ain't working. In this divorce, one has remarried and is flourishing, and New England is living in a van down by the river. Andy Reid went from can't win the big game to the leader of the next dynasty, thanks to Patrick Mahomes. John Harbaugh was going to get run out of Baltimore. Then something called Lamar Jackson happened. Pete Carroll fired twice, 14 and 18 in Seattle pre-Russell Wilson. When you get a LeBron or you get a Brady, it's not just about their game. I mean, it is about accountability. It's about leadership. It is about holding teammates to a standard that the organization's never had before. It's not about strategy with LeBron. It's not about strategy with Tom Brady. It's about coming into the room and changing the temperature of it. I like Andy Reid. I think Pete Carroll and Belichick, first ballot Hall of Famers. But Mike McCarthy, watch the Cowboys today. This is why franchises sign quarterbacks early, even ones with injuries. I mean, are you watching the Chargers and Justin Herbert? They're going to sign him early. Guarantee it. They're going to sign him 2 years early. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Kyler Murray in Arizona. Sign him early. Get a discount. So hard to find the right guy, and when you do, and Tampa did, it just took them, 50 years of their franchise to find a quarterback. They changed the temperature of the franchise. It's about the dude. It's about Brady.
Saturday on Fox, it's a battle of Big 12 title contenders as K-State takes on Iowa State at 4 Eastern. Then Arizona and Washington clash in Pac-12 action at 8 Eastern. College football Saturday beginning at 4 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Do you know who has the longest winning streak in college football? Notre Dame. 14 straight wins. They've won 10-plus games in the last 3 years. And when Brian Kelly first took over at Notre Dame, it was so intense because Notre Dame's pressure is so much. And I thought, he's a good coach, but, man, does he want to do this forever? He's never looked more comfortable. They've never been on more of a roll. They've never had more NFL bodies. And Brian Kelly is going to join me live now from a great place to join me live from, Notre Dame football headquarters. It is true, Brian, I think you look comfortable. I think you look happy. I saw you... you played a close game against Louisville, and I watched the post-game interview, and you were very at ease, and it was a windy, choppy day. And I got to be honest, the first 5 years there, Notre Dame's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. You look more comfortable. That's what I see. Have you found kind of a groove, Brian, expectations, staff? Because you look like you're in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, it's like anything else. You come to Notre Dame, and the pressure is not to lose. And that's the wrong way to look at it. You've got to really come here and think about the production and how your players are competing. And don't even look at the scoreboard. And I think we spent too much time thinking about, winning games. And when it's all about winning, you play tight, and there's just too much anxiety. I think we've gone to the point now where it's about our production and how we play on Saturdays, and the rest takes care of itself. And it's gone pretty good for us over the last 4 years.
I ran into Ian Book's dad in Utah this summer, and I said, I like your son. And I said, but, Brian's going to push him, and this is what Brian's going to do. He's going to push the quarterback. And I watch Ian, and he delivers for you. Is this your... All things considered, is this your best Notre Dame team?
I would say it is. We had some great players on the 12 team, the 18 team, and even 15. Will Fuller on the outside, CJ Prosise. I mean, there were some great players in 15. But I think if you talk about physicality, if you take about the basic premises of putting together a really good football team, it's O-line, D-line, and speed on defense. And I think those are the three areas that separate this football team.
It's interesting. I had a PJ Fleck on, a guy I have a great deal of respect for. His team's kind of unraveled. I know James Franklin. I love James. His team's unraveled. Yep. I know Harbaugh. It's not been good. So I'm watching some of these really good coaches, and it is with COVID, it is unraveled, Coach. No doubt. You have not. Do you look back over the last 6 months and think, boy, I'm glad we did this? Because whatever you're doing, I've seen a lot of good coaches. It just comes unglued here, and you haven't. Why do you think that is?
Oh, wow. There's a book to be written about this. There's every step along the way has been one to navigate through with clear communication. Our first meeting is what I would say was probably the most important. And we said, look, you guys need to understand you should not be here unless you understand that you're going to have to sacrifice a lot, things that you've never sacrificed before, because this is going to be difficult. And I think that first meeting kind of set the tone that everybody that was there was going to have to pay attention to the detailed things if they wanted to fight this virus and fight for a championship. And I think that helped us in our first meeting.
You know, first of all, I think you've become an offensive line machine, and Notre Dame offensive linemen, it should be noted, are getting paid. Getting paid, yeah. Folks. So
Don't get that message out, because when we call for that big endowment check, we want them to remember that.
But it's interesting because I've seen you play Georgia twice. They're go-either-way games. I saw you beat Clemson. And there was about a 15, 20-year period where I was like, oh, that's not a good space for Notre Dame. And so you are going into homes, and you're competing against Clemson, Bama, and LSU and Georgia for players in Ohio State. And it's tougher at Notre Dame. Academics are tough. It's a small town. The weather's not always grand in November, December. But do you feel like the way you're rolling now, that you can go in against Saban, and there are players you can beat him on?
Yeah, again, we're very transparent in terms of who we are and what we're looking for. So we're going to be clear when we talk about why you would come to Notre Dame. Here are the things that you would get by coming here. And I think that that's where we'll have our niche. Now, again, I think what we can point to is that we have an incredibly physical football team on both sides of the ball. Yeah. And we've developed those players to move on to the NFL as well. So I think that there's a great niche there. You're going to come to the Midwest. You're going to expect to play in difficult conditions. So, this is where we can really, for us, get into some of those homes and talk about how we can develop you and get you ready for the next stage. And we've done really well with those kids that understand Notre Dame and want to move on to the NFL, especially those linemen.
Yeah, Jalen Smith, by the way, Will Fuller, Quentin Nelson, Chase Claypool. Quentin's going to get paid a lot. And guards generally don't. He's going to make a lot of money. It's interesting. You've won everywhere. And you've not just won as a coordinator, you've won as a head coach. And the great thing about college football, Brian, is that you change lives. It's an incredibly rewarding experience. But I have to ask this. You're good enough to coach in the NFL. It's not a money thing. It is a itch thing. It's a Pete Carroll say. Do you think you'll ever scratch that itch?
No, I think I've always looked at the possibility, but I'm at a point now at Notre Dame where I can control the roster. I have a great understanding of what our process is here. They give me the opportunity to set this program up and make all the decisions as it relates to how this program runs on a day-to-day basis. You don't get those opportunities in the NFL unless you're Bill Belichick or Andy Reid. So for me to give up all of that to go into the NFL, as much as you want to be able to coach the best players in the world, this is such a great opportunity at Notre Dame. It's one that you can't give up.
I got to talk about one of your opponents. So I follow recruiting because I'm a dork. And I saw this kid. I got to tell you something. That quarterback, that freshman quarterback for Clemson, Joy and I were watching him. I saw him on tape 2 years ago. And I'm like, I can't believe he's a high schooler. Now, everything's a little bit of a fastball. But did you go – you recruited him too, didn't you?
Yeah, until he gave us the temperature and the wind chill temperature in South Bend. DJ is just a wonderful kid. And of course, he's at a school where Notre Dame can recruit. It's a great profile school for us. But yeah, we knew we weren't in that running pretty early on when we knew weather was going to be a factor there. But what a terrific player, and what a tough problem Dabo's got with those two guys.
No kidding. That's your backup. Hey, continued success, your schedule, you're at Carolina, you got Syracuse at Wake Forest. It sets up well if you're focused. You know how much respect I have for you. Brian, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and congrats on that win over Clemson and BC.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. Brian Kelly, great football coach at Notre Dame. And here is Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news.